the anger just starts spilling out over the next year and a half. I just have like this huge amount of resentment and anger that I don't deal with because I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And I just attribute it to, I thought I was going to be a great mother. I'm dissatisfied with my motherhood. God is punishing me for being a negative thinker right now.
Welcome to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast, where we equip and encourage moms just like you to move from isolation, fear, comparison, and chaos to community, compassion, peace, and freedom. We're so glad you're here. Hey, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Jen, and this is the I Am Mother of the Year podcast.
And October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and we wanted to honor that in the best way that we know how, which is by sharing stories. That's what we do on the podcast. And so this is part 4. This is our final episode in our series that we called Yet We Thrive. And Yet We Thrive is one of our partner ministries, and it's a community that walks alongside women who have experienced pregnancy or infant loss, and they are focused on building and continuing lives that are full and thriving, even in the midst of impossible circumstances. And so one of the stories that you are going to hear today is that very situation. So much heartbreak, so much pain, but so much hope. Welcome, Mother of the Year Dream Team member, Amanda. You may recognize her as the one that powders our nose. But we know you as so much more.
Oh my goodness, so many things.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So can you tell everyone, who is Amanda?
Well,
Yes.
no. I am married to my husband, John, of 6 years. We have 2 boys. Caleb is 4. Levi is a year and a half. I'm an elementary teacher turned stay-at-home mom. What else do I do? I am the president of a local nonprofit. We help provide personal care and hygiene items to families in need. And in my spare time, I love to dance.
She's a dancer.
That's right. I guess this is what we do now.
Universal time for dancer.
Do we look good? Okay. So let's dance our way. Oh, look at that. Let's dance our way into the story, Amanda.
Whoa.
But I said it, so we're going to stick with it.
Yeah.
Let's dance right into the worst
ready.
parts of your story.
Oh,
Let's do it, okay?
sheesh. Enough having fun, everyone.
This is serious.
Get down a notch.
It's so serious. And I like knowing your story makes it very hard to sit on this couch right now going, I know what we're about to hear. I know what you're about to hear. And it's so important. And so I'm glad that you're here and willing to be vulnerable to share it. But start with the first entry point into the story of the loss.
Okay, so growing up, my desire in life was to be a mom. All I wanted to do, if you asked me, was be a mom. And I guess I'll be a teacher because that will give me my summers off to be a mom. Not really. And then I got to be a mom. And we had our first son, Caleb, and it was nothing like I expected it to be. I was ready for the moment where they put him in my arms and I'm like, it's you. And they handed me this squishy, smelly little blonde-haired baby. And I looked at him, I'm like, huh? You? What happened? So, but outwardly I go, oh yay. Like I put him up to me. You even see it in the birth video that my husband made. And the whole time I was in the hospital, I'm like, where's the feeling? Why am I not like madly in love with my child? And that was kind of my introduction into maybe I'm not supposed to be a mom. So we go home. I start in on all of the things. He's not latching. We have to abandon breastfeeding. We go to bottle feeding, which again, I have this dream of what motherhood is. And my dream unravels in so many ways that I start to doubt that I was called to be a mom. And so 3 months after having Caleb and going through all these emotions, let's just call it what it is. I had postpartum depression.
Yeah.
I told my husband when I was pregnant, if the only thing I'm afraid of is getting postpartum depression, like anything else can happen, I just don't want to be depressed. And got it. But it was God's mercy for me to experience that, because I tend to idealize. I don't know if that's the right word, but I make everything an ideal situation.
Sure.
And so if I create this perfect image of what I think something is, and then it doesn't meet my expectations, like, oh, I don't like that disappointing feeling. Well, that happened. And then 3 months after having my son Caleb, I found out that I was pregnant again. Super soon, unexpected. And
so at this point, you're like, I don't even think I'm supposed to be a mom to the first one.
right.
And now I have a 3-month-old
Yeah.
and I'm pregnant.
And I'm pregnant.
And I'm pregnant again. And I remember thinking, okay, I will just buckle up, buckle down. I will do the thing.
All the buckling.
All the buckling.
Buckle me in. I don't know.
I was strapping on the parachute. I was gonna go. And that's my tendency in life. Everything's fine. Just, suck it up.
Press on.
And that comes from my parents. I was raised to not feel the emotions, just grin and bear it and work harder. So that played a part into all of it. So when we went in for the first appointment to hear the heartbeat and everything, I'm just like, whatever. Okay, we're here. Do. And during the ultrasound, the tech is really quiet and I'm not picking up on anything that's happening. And my husband is totally aware of what's going on. And she says, I'm so sorry, but we can't find a heartbeat.
You're like, look harder.
Right. What's in there?
Move it to the right a little. Okay.
Do your job, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Because in my perfect situation, babies have heartbeats.
Yes.
So when mine did not have a heartbeat, and this is 2 days before my sister's wedding, I'm the maid of honor, I now have a dead baby inside of me. And so I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to make it through my sister's wedding and not ruin her day with this horrible news? And so I'm not going to tell anybody. Of course, my family asks, and I end up just telling them very matter-of-factly, there was no heartbeat, everything's fine.
I'm going to grin and bear it.
I'm going to grin and bear it, and I will have a procedure because I'm not sure that I can, the whole time I'm like, please don't deliver the baby during the wedding. Don't have a miscarriage during the wedding. And
don't ruin your sister's perfect day.
I'm an Enneagram too.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all about
me
everybody
too.
else. I know, right?
Oh, man.
But in that, I had also just deadened my emotions. And when I went in and I had a D&C, I was coming out of the surgery. I was coming out of the procedure, and I remember starting to feel all the feels because no longer was I in control of my feelings. Medication helped with that. And so I started to break down and pray. And I hadn't talked to God about any of this when it happened because, I was in control and I was going to just handle it. So when I'm coming out of the procedure and I'm starting to talk to God and I'm feeling all my emotions, I said, this wasn't supposed to happen. Where's the baby? And God gave me a vision of my son Caleb holding a little boy, and they were just entwined, holding each other. And I saw that vision and I was like, that's so peaceful. Wow, what's the baby's name? And I can only credit my very dreamlike state to letting go of my control. That's the only way I experienced that. Yeah. And I heard I heard that the baby's name was Solomon. And when I looked up what Solomon meant later, it means peace. So I received that, and I took it as like, okay, that's a gift. Peace. Okay. Close it back up. Don't feel it, on with life.
Right.
And so don't talk to my husband about it. Don't go through any counseling or grief or anything. I just move on and bury all the emotions and then try to go and mother my infant son. And the anger just starts spilling out over the next year and a half. I just have like this huge amount of resentment and anger that I don't deal with because I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And I just attribute it to, I thought I was going to be a great mother. I'm dissatisfied with my motherhood. God is punishing me for being a negative thinker right now.
Hold on. We just need to let that breathe for a second. Like, God is punishing you for being a negative thinker. And did you also think he's taking this baby away because I'm not meant to be a mother? Did that cross your mind?
I actually thought he took the baby away because I wasn't appreciating my first baby. So why would I get to have another one?
Whoa.
And God doesn't work like that.
Right.
He doesn't work like
In
that.
the moment, that's what you're thinking. And do you dare ask him that question, or do you just think it?
Oh, I just took it and I held it and I'm like, this is my consequence. I was ungrateful and therefore this is my consequence. Not putting any love or grace or what the doctor even said. There's no way you could have prevented this. There was something that didn't match up in the chromosomes or the DNA of how the baby was formed. And I even knew that when I looked at the ultrasound. I'm like, that doesn't really look like a baby.
Wouldn't Satan just love to take that flaming arrow of you did this, you were ungrateful? Like we just talked about condemnation versus conviction. And I'm like, it's you focused, it's vague, where I'm like, that's condemnation. Yes.
Yeah, there's no hope in there for you.
And so he would love to put that flaming arrow thought into your head and just let you sit in and go, you're right. This is my consequence.
And you did. How long did you sit in your consequence? And let's not call it a consequence. That feels too natural.
Yeah.
You really think it's a punishment.
Oh yeah, I sat in my punishment probably for at least a good year.
And now it's coming out as anger.
Yeah.
Bitterness. And
Yeah. And at this point, do you think you're serving a life sentence?
Oh yeah, I think I'm a mom. My life is over because all I do is for this child. I don't get to go where I want to go, see my friends when I want to see my friends. And that, in hindsight, showed me how selfish I was. At the time, I couldn't name that because my perfect idea of what motherhood was like was shattered. And I was also angry about that. I was mad at the women in my life who I felt lied to me. They're like, it's going to be so great. And it did become so great.
you didn't experience that.
I didn't experience that. I didn't know about all of the changes my body was going to experience. I thought I was going to leave the hospital with a flat tummy.
Me too, girl.
Dang it.
I was wrapping the band around. I'm like, my stomach feels weird. What do I do? And the nurse was so kind. She goes, well, we give these to patients who have C-sections, but if you're feeling a lot of inflammation and bloating, I'm like, it's not going away.
Give it to me.
I double wrapped my stomach up so that I could squish it all back in. And that in itself was a whole other part that I didn't love my body. And I was mad at my body also for.
Body is serving a life sentence now. And you're punishing your body too. So you're really doubling down.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then I became pregnant again, but I didn't know it. I thought I was just having a really long period. And the really long period that I called my doctor. I'm like, this is weird. I've had a period for like 2.5 weeks. I think we should check it out. They invited me to come in. They did an ultrasound. They said, maybe you have a cyst. Maybe something is, whatever.
A polyp.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They did not give me a pregnancy test, which later I found out they definitely needed to have done that.
Is that like standard procedure? Really
Should
have
be.
been. Yeah. Okay.
And so my family had planned a whitewater rafting trip to West Virginia. And I thought, well, this is going to be awkward. I have this whole bleeding thing that's not going away. So we'll just grin and bear it. We will fix it. We will be fine. We will raft down the river in the wetsuit and we'll just be fine.
We did the wedding.
Right.
I can do this.
You're trained for this.
I am
You've been
not
training for this moment.
ruining my family's vacation.
Right.
I'm a 2 for crying out
I
loud.
will love you well. And I just got to say this about my family. My family loves me. They would never, ever want me to hide all this stuff inwardly.
Yeah.
And I did it to myself, okay? I did it to myself. Family, you are absolved of this guilt, okay?
Yeah.
There's enough guilt going on, okay? And so we get back from the trip, and I'm starting to have abdominal cramps. I'm starting to feel really sick. And while all of this is going on, my husband's had a job change. We've moved. We have a lot of life happening. And so he's going through like some personal crisis, emotional stuff, okay? And we are on our way to church after coming back from the whitewater rafting trip. And I'm just like, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. And we get to the church parking lot and I double over in pain. And I'm like, can't go to church, go home, drive home. And at the whole time this is happening, he's totally emotionless. And like, okay, we'll go home. We go home. So then we get home and I collapse on the floor. I start screaming in pain. I'm like, I think my appendix is ruptured. We have to go to the emergency room, call my parents. They need to meet us there to take Caleb. He was only a year and a half at the time. And so we get to the emergency room. We tell them what's going on. They're like, okay, let's give you a pregnancy test. And I'm like, we haven't had sex for a month. I've been bleeding
It's not, yeah.
for a month now.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Needed to do it then, but not now. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this is happening. But when they are going through the checklist of like, okay, we gave her some morphine. She's starting to calm down. Let's press around and see what's going on. On the right side, when they press, they're like, that hurts like death. Please stop it. And they're like, okay, well, let's do an ultrasound. Check this, check that. And the nurse comes back and says, like whispers in the doctor's ear, okay, we have a positive pregnancy test. And my husband and I look at each other and I go, no, that's not possible.
No.
I reiterate the fact that we have not had sex in a month,
Right.
to my husband's dismay,
Mm-hmm.
And so with the positive pregnancy test, the whole room just flips into, okay, you are in a lot of pain and you are pregnant. Let's get that ultrasound going, okay, and see what's happening, okay?
My stomach hurts right now. I'm just thinking about it.
Yes.
I'm living your story for you.
Oh boy. So they put the so they're like, let's check the kidneys, let's see what's going on, because they're still not ruling out kidney stones at this point.
Yeah. Appendix maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So they cannot get a clear ultrasound picture because I'm internally bleeding up into my
What?
Belly button.
like my belly cavity. And they say it so calmly. Okay, we have some internal bleeding. We're going to go ahead and call your OB. We think you have an ectopic pregnancy. We might need to go do some surgery. And I'm like,
Did you say internal bleeding, doctor?
Right. What hits you harder, the internal bleeding, ectopic
Yeah.
pregnancy? Do you know what that is at that
Yes,
moment?
yes.
You've heard of that before.
I had
It
heard
is
of that
familiar.
before. Before having my son, I did some work at life centers downtown where I would counsel women who were in crisis or who were trying to figure out their options for pregnancy. And so part of that was educating them on their options as well as the type of pregnancy that they could have, which included ectopic. And so immediately I knew what was happening. And I looked at my husband waiting for like this, you're going to be okay. I'm right here with you.
Yeah.
Let's like, and again, he's so controlled in emotional, stressful, chaotic situations, which is great because I flip out.
Yes.
So he is my yin to my yang. Like there are really good things about us. In that moment, with all the personal crisis that he was going through on top of my thing, we were just not connecting. And that was really hard. And as soon as my parents came and got my son and they took me up to surgery, he said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I'm like, okay, all right. You're starting to come with me. Okay. And then I immediately go into prayer mode and I'm like, Lord, again? All right.
Grin and bear it.
Right.
Here we go.
And this is even worse than the first time. So like, what? I'm already serving the life sentence.
Yeah.
This is my punishment. Why are we doubling down on the punishment
You're
at this
heaping
point?
punishment
Right,
on.
why?
Yeah. And here's what the lie that I told myself. You're not really loving your husband well through his crisis. You're being really selfish and wanting him to just get better so that you have a happy life. Even saying that out loud, I'm like, oh, that's so mean. So mean. And then the other thing I'm thinking is, still, you can't even handle one child. You don't deserve any more.
Yeah.
I was really mean to myself.
Yeah, for sure. And so you're internally bleeding and on your way up to surgery?
Yeah, at the time, they're presenting it so calmly and casually. And my mom, who's behind the scenes, sees the doctor run to the phone, call in the emergency team. And she said, we have an emergency trauma. I need my best people on this. Get here as fast as you can. It's critical.
So you have no idea.
So I have no idea how critical the situation is. I have no idea that my life is in danger. I don't understand all of what's going on because I'm still wrestling with the fact that I'm pregnant.
Right. Yeah,
And
you
I
found out you were pregnant. What's the time frame? Pregnancy test positive to
surgery was 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Okay. So you are pregnant and not pregnant in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're afraid the ectopic pregnancy, which the pregnancy is in the fallopian tube, growing in the fallopian tube. It's not sustainable there. However, the pregnancy is continuing to grow. And so the danger is that it's going to rupture and the contents are going to go into my body, causing an infection. And that's what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And so
Just the word rupture.
I
I'm
know.
like, oh,
Yeah, you thought you
baby.
were in pain before.
Yeah.
A rupture would be like, what is happening? Especially when pregnancy wasn't on the table.
Right. So I'm grieving the loss of a pregnancy. And I remember telling my husband, I'm like, we're not even going to get to meet this baby. Like, okay, it's here, it's gone. Okay, all right, go save my life. Okay, what?
What's happening?
Right. And thank God for wonderful hospital technicians because the anesthesiologist, my doctor's like, let's go save a life.
Yeah.
And the anesthesiologist like calmly puts his hand on my shoulder, introduces himself and says, may I pray over you before
Oh my God.
the surgery? And I'm like, yep, I'm going to need that. I'm going to need that. But then it then ushered me into a space of prayer where I could then say, God, I don't know how I find myself here again. You were gracious to give me a vision of the first baby that I lost. I don't deserve to know anything about this baby because, again, I'm punishing myself in my head. And so I ask again, I'm like, could I see what this baby looks like? Could you tell me the baby's name? And as I'm coming out of the procedure again, I see just like the most beautiful field. It's like what you picture heaven to be like it's bright and it's colorful and it's lush and there are butterflies everywhere. And I see this, I don't see her face, but I see the back of this little girl walking through the meadows. and her hands are just playing with butterflies. And I'm like, wow, she's so beautiful. Wow, she's so beautiful. God, what's her name? And he said her name is Leia. And again, I'm like, Leia, what? Interesting. I don't know that name. Mm-hmm. And so I look up Leia, Leia, and it means child of heaven. How do my two babies, who I'm punishing myself thinking I don't deserve them, how does God give me the names of peace and child of heaven? And how does he show me visions of them, like surrounded in love and his presence? Like, that doesn't seem fair, that a loving God would, give me that, because I've been so ungrateful for motherhood. Mm-hmm. As I start thinking about God's character and how he sees me, I start to really question, God, do I believe that you love me? Do I believe that you care about me in these moments where I've been so judgmental and critical towards myself? And I started to ask myself, God, how do you see me? And that's one of the most brave questions that you could ever ask yourself is, God, how do you see me? Because he sees you a lot better than you see yourself. I'll tell you that. And after all of this, I started the healing work of forgiving myself for not measuring up to the type of mother that I thought I should be. Mm-hmm. Should is a bad word. Mm-hmm. It's a shame word. Mm-hmm. And when I thought about how can I show up and love myself, my spouse, and my son really well today, a lot of it looked like doing less, striving less, being present in the moment, and just being grateful for, we got to go out on a walk outside today, and my kid learned how to say the word poop because there was goose poop all over the trail.
There you go.
And it was so funny. And I know I just killed the moment, but it was so funny that was like a redeeming moment for me, was to do less and experience more joy in the mundane.
Yeah. Do less, experience more.
Yeah, because I'm like, motherhood's so boring. Ugh.
It is kind of boring.
It can be really
boring.
Mm-hmm.
And were you staying home at the time, or were you working?
So I had gone back to teaching part-time, found out I was pregnant, was home with my son for a while. So I was grieving the loss of my career for a bit. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to, later I went back to teaching, but after the ectopic pregnancy, I took some time just to figure out, like, what do I really want? Yeah. What do I really want in life? Yeah.
And here you are.
And here I am. And the beautiful thing about all of that process is that God wanted to heal my heart towards him, and he wanted to heal my mind and my heart towards myself, mm-hmm. to rid myself of punishment, critique, shame, just fear. Fear is such a liar. Mm-hmm. And thinking to myself, you know what? I actually might want to have another baby. I think I might, maybe, possibly be okay with caring for another life. I feel like I've grown and healed enough that it maybe might be possible.
This is after Caleb.
This is after the ectopic pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And so Caleb is, he was a year and a half at that point. It was August 2017 when the ectopic pregnancy happened. And then the following year, it was June 2018, and it was Father's Day weekend. Mm. And I had this really weird feeling that morning. And I thought to myself, could I be pregnant? Nah. But it's Father's Day. Wouldn't it be cool if that all happened? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I go take a pregnancy test, and it comes back positive. And instead of like dread or regret or any of these like critical feelings that I had in the past. I just had this overwhelming joy. Like, oh my gosh, I get to be a mom. Oh my gosh, we're having a baby. What? So excited. So excited. Like such a heart change. And now, of course, fear was like, oh, something might happen to this baby. And, you know, of course, it just wanted to sneak in there. But the, just the forgiveness that I felt over myself and the restored relationship between God and I think was the only way that I could approach that pregnancy in a healthy way and be like, you know what? Even if something does go wrong, I know that God loves me and that I'm not being punished.
Mm-hmm. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
And then I love the story of scientifically, how is Levi even possible? The miracle of that conception and carrying. Can you share that with us?
Yes. So Levi, his name, I'm really specific when it comes to names. And so Caleb means wholehearted, devoted, which if you meet my son Caleb, he is all in. And then Levi means joined in harmony. And I thought, this baby is going to bring so much joy and harmony to our family. I didn't know why I felt that, but I just felt like I'm gonna pray for that to be true. And everyone who meets Levi, he is just a bundle of energy, wild energy, and overwhelming, overflowing joy.
Mm-hmm.
But he came from the side. So with the ectopic pregnancy, they had to take out my right fallopian tube. It was ready to rupture. They caught it minutes before it was going to be everywhere. And so the side that has no tube released an egg, traveled all the way over here to the side that did have a tube, and it got picked up, fertilized, and
this ovary went with no tube.
Mm-hmm.
Ding.
Yeah. And in the ultrasound, when the tech, because, you know, of course, all the paranoia has set in, I'm like, I don't trust my old doctor. I'm going to fertility specialist. And they're like, you really don't need a fertility specialist.
No.
Yes, I do.
Do you know me? Yes, I do.
And so they were like, let's just make sure it's in the right place and the heartbeat and all that stuff. And so they are looking, they're like, baby's great. Heartbeat's good. We'll give you some progesterone just to calm you down. And to help support the pregnancy and development and everything, not to calm me down. I should make sure that that's clear.
I was like, oh, I thought it was a hormone.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I have progesterone. Doesn't calm me down.
It's always
I need more.
Yes. And so when the doctor was looking at the ultrasound, she goes, oh, that's interesting. You ovulated from your right side. And then I just see her kind of trace the ultrasound. She goes, yeah, wow, well, that's rare. And then she moves on with her day. And I'm like, excuse me, what?
I'm sorry, can you play that back?
My rainbow baby was conceived in a rare way where this egg traveled from no place to a place that picked it up. And like, it's okay.
Joined in harmony.
Joined in harmony, people.
Oh. Stop.
Miracle.
I got nothing else.
Oh my gosh.
Miracle.
Yeah, he's a miracle.
He really is. And he is sheer joy.
He is.
He's, I think, the happy. And I have a chill, perfect little baby, but he's the happiest baby I've ever met.
Yeah, he's a
The
gift.
smile. Ear to
It's so
ear.
big. So big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So the hope for you, yes, a happy ending, but what hope could you offer? Could you encourage in the valley or everywhere from beginning to finish? Where's the hope?
Right. I think what's most important about God is that even when I love the song Waymaker, because the lyrics go, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. And so many times I told my husband, I have no hope. What is hope? No. Because I was trusting in my own strength. I will work harder. I will strive. And God is not interested in your striving. He is more interested in your weaknesses, in your vulnerability, and in your saying, I need help. When we are more dependent on God and not so independent is when he just, okay, you're ready. You know, he's just able to move in amazing ways. And I had to get out of my own way. I had to stop controlling the situation. I had to quit blaming myself. And I had to actually allow myself space for any hope to exist. I was squishing hope with my control. And so even saying, I will be okay with allowing hope to have some space. Because if I let hope have some space, maybe it will grow. And even if it doesn't, look how my hands are. They're open and they're able to receive something instead of controlling a situation.
Oh my gosh, that is so well said. You have me at squishing hope with control. Just the visual of those words. Yeah. And if you give hope space, maybe it'll grow. Come on now, you need to write a book.
Give her a microphone so she can drop it.
Yes.
Well, and what I love about when we decided, like, can you come on and share your story? I heard the story for the first time in the Marco Polo app, so not ideal, you know, but I'm at the park with my kids, like bawling on the bench, going, I can't believe we get to share these stories.
Right.
It's so, like, it's such a privilege and an honor to, like, take something so precious. And I want you to know, wherever you are, your story is this precious too. And treat it like that, but treat it as also a currency to be passed, so that you're not holding on to it in control out of shame or fear or punishment or whatever it is. Like the visual I got as I was walking home from the park that day was women around the world who have lost babies, who have experienced this kind of pain, holding balloons and letting them go. Just creating the space and just, like, nothing is kind of more fun and hopeful than a dancing balloon in the air. And I just thought, how beautiful. And so I hope that today and the whole series that we've had encourages you. I know it was heavy. It's a lot to carry, but that's why we talk about community. It's so important to not carry this alone. And so if you have never told anybody your miscarriage story, if you have never told anybody your infertility struggle, if you have never shared that with another human being, now is the time. Today is your day. You are not meant to go through this life alone. Do not suffer in silence. Share the story. It doesn't have to be on Facebook. It needs to be with one person who you can trust to say, I'm going to tell you something, and all I want you to do is sit here with me. Can you sit with me? And then you tell them and allow that space even just to sit. So that would be my challenge and the takeaway from this whole series is don't go through that alone. And if you can, on your faith journey, invite God into that space. Allow even the worst parts of your story to be holy ones. And with that, I think we just want to tell you that no matter what circumstances you might find yourself in, and no matter how impossible they might seem, we hope you're able to say, yet we thrive.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, founder of Yet We Thrive, a community for women who have lost or are struggling to have babies. It is our aim to help you thrive, even in the midst of impossible circumstances. You can find us on Facebook or on Instagram at Yet We Thrive. We look so forward to connecting with you and holding a place for you and your stories, a place where we can hold you up, even in your darkest moments, and tell you, yet we thrive.
Thanks for listening to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast with Lisa and Jen. If you love what you hear and want insider access to more conversations just like these, exclusive Mother of the Year merch, and access to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast one day early, join the growing community of patrons who support our movement at patreon.com/I Am Mother of the Year. Talk to you next week.